No, let's get right into Upperclass, best overall prospect. For anyone that listens consistently, back in around Christmas time, you probably saw our Team Hammett and Team Lacascio 2027 little draft we did, and I think Team Hammett came away pretty excited with our picks after right-handed pitcher Colin Doyle, Downers Grove North 2027's bullpen. He was up to 96. Probably one of the biggest winners from the day, first off. But fastball is 93 to 95, touch 96 out of a 6'6", 224-pound frame. Moves really well, and it seems like there's still more to come in that frame. It was loose, repeatable, athletic, threw a slider at 81 to 84 that averaged 2396 RPM. Also threw a changeup at 81 to 84 with fade. But, I mean, Colin, a Duke commit, one of the most impressive pens, probably the most impressive pen of the day.
Yeah, I mean, I'll tee Tyler up for Traxton Roberts here, but I mean, those two guys are on our team, and I'm feeling pretty good. But a little bit more about Colin. It's a starter all day. You know what I mean? It's like he repeats, he's in the zone at that size and the way that moves. Like, you don't see that. That's outlier stuff, like Drew just said. Someone that can move like that at that size. But yeah, I mean, a little more about him. He's one of the best players on their basketball team that just their season just finally ended in the playoffs, but he was their leading scorer, leading rebounder. He got a little bit dinged up on their game Wednesday and came out of the game and was begging to go back in. That just speaks to the type of kid he is. And then he came in through 96 on Saturday. So just an unbelievable athlete, and I'm super excited to go and see him this spring.
For all the guys that we saw at the event, like, he was the one to me that came away as the biggest winner. Upper class, underclass, despite how good Anderson Kaufman was in the underclass and some other guys, like, it was Colin Doyle's show and everybody else, in my opinion. It looked like we were watching a big leaguer on the mound, and I don't want to blow a guy up too much. I get that they're only in high school, all this stuff, but like, it's exactly what it should look like. If he was throwing in the Super 60 this year, it would have been one of my favorite bullpens. It was ultra easy for his 6'6", 224-pound frame. It has starter profile written all over it, like you said. And like, to me, he went from being a guy that we saw last spring. We invited him to the future games. He wasn't able to attend, but he was 88, maybe touching a 90 in game. And, wasn't like the most polished, perfect pitcher that you had ever seen last year watching him in the spring. The strides that he's made with the overall repertoire, throwing the slider the way he is at 81, 84, like, he's a guy that you give it another year. We could be talking about this guy coming off the Super 60 next winter, pitching at 96, 99, making it look super easy and being on like top 1 to 3 round first day type draft pick. That to me is what I saw to Colin Doyle. And, from a national lens, like, he's a guy that should be in the mix for All-American game. He's a guy that Shooter Hunt should be all over, and, pro scouts here in the future. Like, there's not much to nitpick there on Colin Doyle. And I know we're going like long-winded on him, but it's deservedly so. We could probably talk for another 30 minutes on everything about him. So the fact that Pete, you mentioned, like, also plays basketball, made this jump like during the basketball season. So, he's either just an ultimate freak, or he's, working his tail off during the basketball season to make jumps, whether it's hitting the weight room or doing his throwing routines or whatever it is. Like, it speaks volumes. He's not a guy that all winter long was training for, only baseball specific stuff. Like, he's playing basketball, he's getting rebounds, he's getting dinged up in a playoff game, and he comes here and does what he does. So I can't speak enough about Colin Doyle, and that's a guy we need to get out early on and just see, okay, yes, it's 93, 95, touching a 6 in a bullpen. Like, what is it in game? How polished has it kind of tuned up, and where can we go from here? But, man, was that fun to watch.
And I mean, another one from that Upperclass event that was on my mound, right-handed pitcher, Traxton Roberts, a 2027 out of Armstrong, committed to Kentucky. and he continues to look like a high-level arm in the class. It's really polished. Something that really impressed me about Traxton in this pen was he was telling his catcher, I think he was throwing to Lucas Beatty, a 2027 at Normal Community, but he was telling Lucas, hey, slider in, slider here, slider, and he was telling him where he was throwing these pitches at, and he would dot it up, and he would do it. And his fastball was 91 to 94, up to 95, average 2370 RPM, had carry through the zone. Curveball was 73 to 75, average 2642 RPM. Said he was starting to throw this like slider cutter pitch now, and it was 80 to 81, average 2596 RPM. And then the changeup was 83 to 85, had a ton of fade. Like, it was so polished, a lot of strikes. The pitches are all different shapes. It's clean, it's loose. He's a repeatable mover. I think Traxton Roberts is a high-level arm in the class. He continues to get better each time we see him. I know we've talked about it a lot, but in the past, like last summer, came to the future games, came to the state games, just kept getting better and better and better each time we saw him. And again, I think at this event, it was only better again.
One of the top breaking balls in the class. To go along with this, 91, 94, touching 95 mile an hour fastball, and like those levers, you gotta love it. It's loose, it's whippy. I'm all in on Traxton Roberts. He was probably one of the biggest winners of anybody in the 27 class in 2025, and like starts out his 26 with a bang.
I'm gonna go with right-handed pitcher Mason Breach out of Geneva, 2027. He's a Michigan State commit. His pen was so impressive to me. Like, I don't know that I've ever seen this since I've been doing this. There might have been one pitch that was located above the thigh. Everything was at the knees. He's just absolutely pounding the bottom of the zone with everything he threw. He's 6', 170. Like, he's an impressive athlete. Like, he ran a 6.63 as well. Also had a max EV of 99.6 with the bat from the right side. Like, he's a guy at Geneva who's probably going to lead off and play center field when he's not pitching. Like, that's the type of athlete and baseball player he is. But more just in depth on his stuff. Like, his fastball was 88 to 90. He throws from that lower, sidearm slot. Like, it's a really tough slot on hitters, especially high school hitters. But fastball 88 to 90. I'm a big fan of his slider at 77 to 79. It's got that like firm late bite to it. Also showed a like real changeup 84 to 86. It's got that firm downer action, just really like drops off the table. And then he's also showing a curveball, as a potential fourth pitch he's working on 76 to 78. But man, I was just blown away. Like I said, I don't know that I've ever seen a pen where like it's just everything is bottom of the zone right at the knees. So loved that pen, and he was my favorite from the day.
Yeah, I mean, talking about upside arms now, left-handed pitcher Quinn Rooney at 2027 at Bennett, committed to Notre Dame, 6'6", 206-pound frame, long levers, wiry, ton of physical development still to come in that frame, but fastball was 88 to 90, touch 91, had arm side action to it. Showed a curveball at 69 to 71 miles an hour, 1-7 shape, had some depth, and then a changeup in the upper 70s. But I think Quinn's got a lot more room to polish up that whole arsenal, continue to get the velo going like more and more, higher and higher, and then the frame just getting that more physically developed. Like, I think there's just a lot more to come still in Quinn Rooney. But overall, I was impressed with the pen, and I like the upside.
Yeah, Gav, I mean, the bat was actually really good, too. I mean, he's a two-way, like, high-level guy on both sides of the ball. But, I mean, the swing is just long-levered and, like, easy power for days. It was up to 107, and he gets to the power really easily. But one of my favorite more upside rounds of the day that definitely needs to be mentioned.
My upside arm, I'm funny enough, I'm going with yet another Mason and another guy who was on our Future Games team this last summer. And Mason Rychetsky out of Kennedy High School, right-handed arm. He's still uncommitted, but 6'1", 203. With his pen, like, I just felt like there was a ton of feel and polish. His fastball was 88 to 89 with feel for the zone. Kind of had that run to it to the arm side. His curveball 76 to 78 with depth. Again, feel for the zone. And then his changeup was 76 to 78 with fade. But like, really just thought everything came out good out of the hand. Wasn't a ton of like max effort in there at all. Like, I thought it was pretty easy. So just really big fan of Mason. He came to our state games last year, threw well at future games. So just curious to see where he lands. Like I said, uncommitted guy. So schools out there should be taking a look at Mason this spring.
One of the biggest winners for me was right-handed pitcher Cole Ruggieri, a Missouri commit, 2027 out of Wabansie Valley. And the reason that he was one of the biggest winners was just that I felt like his arsenal, his three-pitch mix was a lot more polished than what maybe we've seen in the past. The frame, it's lean, he's athletic, he's got some strength at 6'2", 181. He's always been a pretty good mover with a quick arm. The arm seems like it's a little bit shorter of a path now, but the fastball, it's always been like a low 90s guy, and he was 92 to 93 in this look. The slider was 81 to 82. It averaged negative 11.6 inches of IVB and negative 10.3 inches of horizontal movement. It was kind of like a sweeper feel. Also threw a changeup at 80 to 82 with heavy fade, and he had a feel that landed around the zone. So I was really impressed with Cole's pen, and just a guy that we've been kind of waiting for to really polish up that arsenal, I think.
I don't know if now's the right time to jump in here, but
I can go if you want to, if you need more time.
yeah, I mean, I think just one thing I want to mention, Tyler and guys, is like, we talk about how good this event was and how hard these guys have been working, and it's crazy to see what these numbers are doing these days, and how hard guys are throwing. And like, from when I first started doing this and running preseason all states to what the velocities are, and just looking at the arms that came out for the 2027s, we had 22 arms that were 90 plus. Like, that to me is just absurd. And yeah, some of them are committed, but the high level of uncommitted arms that are still out there that have crazy velo, 90 really is like what the old like 86 was when I started. And like now, if you're touching like 95, that's like what the old 90 was, I feel like. So it is just kind of nuts to sit back and look through these numbers, and exit velocities are going the same way. And I think there's something to be said about that, with, making sure we're not losing the art of being a hitter, and just not just trying to hit some big number during BP, like actually having a swing that plays and short to the ball and balanced and stuff like that. But some guys on the mound that were 90 plus that really stood out to me, and we had great notes on. I'm just going to rattle off a few, like Cash Van Houten at Canton. He's a two-way guy. We love him as a position player too. Was a two-way at the future games. He committed to Illinois. He sat 92, 93 at this event, and it was like, same old Cash. Just continues to do it. One of the more talented prospects in the class. And then some uncommitted guys that I think deserve some love, like that just... There's so many guys to talk about, but Russell Hangles at Maine South is a guy that's been trending well. Just kind of keeps improving. The velo keeps getting better. The body's legit. It's like 6'4" and strong and athletic. He was 90 to 92, touching 93. Austin Wingy. Austin, I think I'm definitely, mispronouncing that. I know you told us how to pronounce it back at the future games while you were throwing for Team Select, and since then, I think I've gotten my brain in a pretzel on that one and don't know how to pronounce it. So, but Lockport, uncommitted, really quick arm, over the top, 91, 93, like looked a lot stronger. Like he had really been getting after it in the wintertime. And he's got one of the better breaking balls in the class that plays really well off that over the top slot, downer action to it. Owen Satterley, kind of the same way. Strong body guy at Prairie Ridge, had a really good spring for them this past year. 90-92 with a downer breaking ball, was in the zone a lot with some carry to the fastball. Colin Schweigen at Rockridge, like he just keeps getting better as well. He came as a two-way guy. He was a two-way for the future games, but it's 89-91 now with depth to the breaking ball. I thought it was thrown really aggressively, had shown a little bit more feel than we had seen in the past, and then a changeup at 76-78. And guys, like the first arm of the day for Upperclass as we're transitioning from Underclass. And you guys are probably going to give me some grief because this was another one of your draft picks here for the 2027 crew. I can already see you guys itching to get in there and call us out. But Jimmy Benson at St. Lawrence, like St. Lawrence is a school we're really, really high on coming into this spring. And Jimmy Benson is a big reason why. Like he had a great spring for them last year. He's 6'8", 227 pounds. Like, it's an outlier frame. He's a TCU commit. It's a low slot, like, big extension. Was getting all kinds of swing and misses when he was pitching at, like, 81, 84 last spring. It was 82, 86, up to 87, sweeping slider like we've seen, and just, like, continues to get better, continues to take those strides. I don't think there's any slowing down with him. So just some guys that I wanted to get in here and mention, and I know there's some others as well.
Yeah.
Come on, call me out.
Drew,
Let's go.
I do really appreciate you giving Team Hammett some free publicity because we also drafted Austin Wingy in that draft. So we really appreciate the free pub.
Well,
Yeah, go ahead.
well, and a
Pat.
lot
Yeah,
of these
Drew.
guys that I'm talking about or just mentioned, it kind of correlates too with looking at our preseason previews that are going to be coming up. Hopefully later this week, if we can get all of our work in, it's really tough because we're following up from all the winter stuff, everything we just saw this past weekend, which is close to 500 players. And then transitioning into like the high school season's around the corner, and we want to get our preseason previews out, our Power 25. But these guys played a big role in like what we're looking at. Maine South's a school we're really high on. I don't want to give away too much, but like Lockport as well. Prairie Ridge was a school that we talked about. Obviously St. Lawrence. So a lot of these guys have a lot to do with these programs and these pitching staffs that we're looking at, and how many arms do they have? How many quality arms? The depth, all that stuff.
Yeah, just one more arm I wanted to mention, and also just a note, like keep an eye out for our quick hits, our takeaways. Like we're gonna have so many more arms players just throughout the day for both events mentioned in these quick hits takeaways. But my last arm here is right-handed pitcher Noah Hallahan, a 2027 out of Geneva, and really strong frame. Like clearly has strength in the build. Put in a ton of work. 6 foot, 201 pounds. The fastball sat 90 to 92. Threw a slider at 76 to 77, and according to TrackMan, he threw it for strikes 100% of the time. And then the changeup was 82 to 83. Had fade to that too, but just an uncommitted arm there. Noah Hallahan to keep an eye on.
Hey, what I love about that call out too, Gav, about the TrackMan and the 100% strikes, like TrackMan is a tight zone. Like it's a lot tighter than a high school zone. Like it's not giving you that corner. What is it, the ABS system or something that the big leagues are implementing? Like it's a tough zone. So if you do see, really good strike percentages on, a player's profile under the TrackMan section, like those are legit strikes. And guys that maybe don't have such a high, percentage, like if they're nibbling on the corners, like they still are showing feel. So it can be a little misleading when like a guy throws a breaking ball for 25% strikes, but we saw, a bunch of them land like right at the bottom of the zone or just off the outer half that in a game would probably be called a strike. So I just wanted to throw that out there because, man, if he's pounding it for 100%, that's legit feel.
Big winner for me on the day, and Drew, you kind of touched on it, just guys we saw this winter that are kind of helping shape our opinions for the spring. But right-handed arm Charlie Caroselli out of Providence Catholic at 2027, uncommitted. For me with Charlie is just the strides he's made, like year over year. This kid keeps getting better. I was actually doing some digging. So with Charlie, like I remember 2 years ago at the state games, this would have been the 2024 state games, was just absolutely dealing at this event. Mind you, his fastball velo at that event was 75 to 78. And he's getting a ton of outs against a bunch of guys that are, older than him. And just absolutely dealing. And like with Charlie, like he could always throw his off-speed stuff for strikes. He always did a really good job of changing speeds in game, messing with hitters' timing. And now at Allstate, the velo has made a significant jump. He's 86 to 87. Again, like he still has the pitchability of his off-speed stuff, right? Like, and to me, like I think that could be, maybe just a learning point for like these young arms coming up, right? Like it's not all about your velocity at that young age. Like develop that off-speed stuff first, because eventually the velocity will come. Like it will. As you get older, as you mature, and like Charlie to me is a great example of that. Like, so now at Allstate, right? 86, 87 with the fastball. It's got that hard arm side run to it. His slider was 69 to 71. Feel for the bottom of the zone, and then his changeup was 75 to 76 with fade and sink. And to me, like I think that's his best off-speed offering right now. Like I think that's a real pitch that can get a ton of swing and misses this spring. But I think the cool thing with Charlie, and like something Coach Smith over there at Provi is really gonna love, is I think he's versatile. Like he could start, he could relieve, come out of the pen, just eat a bunch of innings. But obviously, we're all really big fans of Charlie here, and so it's really cool to just kind of see the jumps he's made.
And I thought you said it perfectly. I love me some Charlie Caroselli. One of the best kids, one of the hardest workers, I think, in the class. So to see him just continuing to go on the right trajectory, and that is what it's all about. All about. You mentioned like where he's come from, and man, there's no slowing down with his stuff and his velo. Like he's just going to continue to get better.
I know Drew's been hyping up our team a lot. So I'm going to have to give him a little bit of love with Tristan Steger as one of my favorite prospects from the day, just one of my favorite showings. I just love the swing. The left-handed swing, it's really strong with easy power and fluidity in there. Peaked at 106, averaged 93. Had one of the best batted ball distances of the day with 401. But there's just that easy flick in the barrel through the zone, up the middle. The barrel stays through the zone too, like it's going to play in game, and he just controls that barrel easily too. But he's also a good athlete. Like he runs a 6.84 as a catcher, which is, more than enough. Like that means he's probably athletic enough to go to the outfield if he ever needed to. But I wouldn't want to move him from behind the plate because he's so good back there too. Like he popped a 178 and was up to 82 from the shoot. So great all-around showing. And then one more kid that I really liked that I thought showed really well for himself is another catcher in Shane Torres from Obanzi Valley, 2027. Another one of my favorite rounds of the day. Left-handed hitter. I love the way that swing works too. He's long been one of my favorite left-handed bats in the state, but he peaked at 103, averaged 97, and he was all over the barrel with natural lift. Like he averaged over 300 feet for his max batted distance and got up to 383. But I think what's more impressive is he got his pop time down from a 2 to a 188, and he added 4 miles an hour to his catching velo, up to 79 now. So that defense continues to trend in the right direction, which I think will help only elevate his prospect status. And then I actually had a couple guys I just want to shout out for their rounds of BP. The first being Gavin Stanislavski from Brother Rice. They're actually both from Brother Rice. But he had the loudest round of the day by far, up to 111 miles an hour, averaging 104. So his average was better than most guys' peaks. That's like Super 60 numbers right there. Like I think the peak EV at the Super 60 was about 111. So ties that, and then 104 for the average is like way up there for Super 60 numbers as well. But he maxed at 401 for the distance, and it was just a really polished round. Like he wasn't trying to just lift and pull and elevate the ball with a ton of intent. It was pretty low effort with a really clean swing and a good approach. He was working up the middle and like naturally lifting the ball pull side, but it was not like the hat flying off, turn and burn type round. And then Brady Cunningham, just an absolute freak. I'd be remiss to not mention his round. 109 miles an hour for the peak, average 97. Led the event with a 437-foot batted distance. So freakish power, and he's just a freak all around, right? Like I saw a video floating around on Instagram. Actually, Cooper Trinkle sent it to me, just like further cementing how much he likes him as well. He double broad jumped 20 feet, which is like NFL wide receiver type athleticism. And I mean, the guy's like 6'4", 220. So, and he ran a 6'5" with a 158 10-yard split. So he just continues to impress all around. I'm really excited for him. I mean, we just had him at the Joliet preseason night, pitcher ID. and he was up to 93. So, I mean, he's just a freak on both sides of the ball, and he's also on Team Hammett, by the way.
Well, Hammett, just to touch on like the Joliet pitcher ID as well as our Joliet preseason ID we held this past Sunday, like just so everyone knows, like we will talk about both those events. We're looking to do that next week. Hammett, I know you and me both absolutely loved the Joliet pitcher ID coming off of it, as us both being ex-pitchers. Like, it was incredible, I thought. Like, every single arm there was good. But regardless, moving over, I've got a southpaw standout I want to touch on. It's left-handed arm, also left-handed bat. Tommy Hosty out of Marist, an uncommitted 2027. Had always heard good things about him on the mound. I had yet to see it. I was very, very impressed. He's 6', 200, strong-looking kid. He's a two-sport athlete over there at Marist. Also plays football. You can tell with the frame, like, looks like a very physical kid. His fastball was, and he calls it, a true two-seam. 88 to 90, touching 91 from the left side. He was kind of pounding that thing right at the bottom of the zone as well. But the off-speed, he was spinning a tight slider at 74 to 77. And I really liked his changeup at 80 to 82 miles an hour, showing some downer action to it. But on the position side of things, like he ran a 6'9", 160. He was 88 from the outfield with a 100 mile an hour max EV. And like Tommy's a guy I've seen him do it in game. Like I was really impressed with this kid last spring when I saw him with the bat. So we know he can do it in game as well. But big southpaw standout for me.
I got some guys that just stood out for me, one way or another. Most of them, you could put under the category of like data darlings. And that's where I want to start. All these guys that I'm going to mention are uncommitted. All these guys should be high follows, in my opinion, moving forward. But Carson Hamblin at Lake Zurich, he's been a varsity starter now as an underclassman. Just kind of a freak. There's been a couple of those guys that we've talked about in the best light possible when you say that word. Ran a 6'4", 860, so he led the event with the 60-yard dash. He was up to 90 from the outfield, which I want to say is a 10-mile-an-hour jump from where he was last year. I think he was topping at 80 from the outfield. And then had a 101 exit velocity, left-handed hitter with some thump in the barrel. Just clearly a hard worker, can flap fly. When you start talking about that speed power combination, like Hamblin's got that. He's definitely one to know from the event. Mikey Watson, infielder at Homewood Flossmoor, was second in the event with a 6'4", 960, 84 across the infield, 101 exit velocity. And Mikey's actually committed to UIC, is he not? I think I mentioned that these guys are going to be uncommitted guys, so I throwing you in here, Mikey, but you're UIC, good get there for UIC. And this should be his first spring at Homewood Flossmoor. So definitely an impact guy coming over there to the Vikings for this upcoming spring. And they're another team that, like, we've talked a lot about. We've seen a lot of their guys throughout the winter. They are super, super intriguing going into this spring. Connor Crumry at OPRF, Pete, I know you said he took a really, really loud round of BP. The numbers say that. Peaked at 108 exit velocity, but also ran a 6'5", 560. Really strong body. Looks like he could be a linebacker on a football field. Just another one of those guys with that speed power combination that you need to pay attention to. And then one of my fan favorites, biggest kind of winners from the entire event was Paxton Freeborn out of Naperville North. Maybe it's the high school that he goes to that, piqued my interest even more. But it's a long-levered, high-waisted outfielder, left-handed hitter, 6'5", 960, 102 EV. And Pete, I was up there in the cage watching his round of BP. And, like, there's a lot of ways to get a big exit velo like we're talking about kind of throughout the day. Like, how do you get to these big numbers? Man, he was short and direct and flat through the zone and highly repeatable and super balanced and just has those whippy levers that are going to continue to get better. Like, I was very, very impressed with Paxton Freeborn. And then it's like a long strider, ran a 6'5", The arm was super lively in the outfield. He is a name to know that, like, you look at where he was last summer when he came to an event, every single thing has ticked up for Paxton. And I think there is so much more to come with him. I was really, really impressed with his showing. Keaton Ariano, another outfielder, left-handed hitter that, like, he was hurt a lot of last year. Clearly is back healthy now, and I thought he made a loud statement at the event. Geneseo High School, 6'5", 860, 90 from the outfield, 101 exit velocity, elevates, routinely in BP to gap. And that's a name that was like, we didn't see much last year. And then now it's like, okay, we really need to see this guy. Like, we start talking about 2027s, especially if they're uncommitted. The first thing that pops into my head is that senior future games. It was so good this past summer down in Georgia, that like alongside the future games and the junior future games, like Keaton Ariano's a guy that, put his name in the mix for that. Ryan Tucker at Jacobs. There's actually two Jacobs guys I want to mention, but Ryan Tucker showed really well at the McHenry preseason ID earlier this winter. Did it again. 6'7", 160, 87 across the infield, 99 max EV, and took a really good round of BP. Jace Koth, to me, has just continued to impress all winter. I know I talked to him coming off the McHenry preseason ID. I was locked in on Upperclass outfield defense, and he was, as good as that group was floating around the outfield, like, he stood out with the pace that he played at, the foot speed, the bounce that he had, the actions. It looked like a high-level center fielder playing through the baseball with confidence. 92 from the outfield. Like, the arm really, really works. It's lively, it's whippy, it's athletic, it's really clean. And then peaked offensively at a 94-mile-an-hour exit velocity. But that's a guy that's a top-of-the-order type guy, going to spray it around the yard, cause havoc on the bases, and, hopefully play a lockdown center field. So, really liked Koth. And then mentioned Colin Schweigen earlier on the mound. But man, like, he checked off a ton of boxes as a position guy too. Ran a 6'7", 360, 92 from the outfield, 104 exit velocity. Just speaks to the athleticism that he has, and also a high level quarterback as well. So, just a couple guys I wanted to get in on and mention. They definitely deserve mentions. And like we said earlier, there's so many other guys that we can mention from this, and looking forward to, continuing to dig through all the data from the event, put the quick hits together, write up reports on these guys, rewatch videos, go through the whole thing. And a lot of these guys are going to impact some upcoming rankings that we have next week. We're going to be updating the 27 class, the 2028 class, and the 2029 class. And one of the things I don't like to do is go too crazy with these rankings and moving guys and juicing guys off of just a showcase. But when it is guys that we've seen in the past and we've already liked them as a player, and then their tools continue to tick up and we know that they compete in the batter's box, or they, are a high-level defender, or can really play center field, or are a bulldog on the mound and they were, 83, 84 in the past and now they're 88, 90, like, that does matter. And that does warrant, big jumps in the rankings and movement and shaking and all this, because if you're staying the same as a player, if your tools are staying the same as you continue to excel through high school, you're getting worse and you're going to move down the rankings. Like, you need to continue to get better to just stay at the same number you are in the rankings. So all the 27s, 28s, 29s out there, like, understand, if your number moves down in the rankings, you were 50th, in the last update, and now you're 71st. You maybe have not gotten worse as a player. It's just we've seen so many players in the offseason, from the fall to the winter to the preseason All-State. There's just more guys now in that bucket that can potentially be ranked, that we put grades on, and you may have a certain grade for us, and we've seen 10 guys that come in that we know are good players that now have a little bit higher grade. You haven't changed as a player. We've just seen more players, and they warrant being in front or in the mix now, and that causes guys to move down the list when they really haven't changed as a player. So that's one of the hardest things that I kind of have to stomach when doing these rankings and putting numbers on guys, is seeing guys that were 50th or whatever and now are 70th when I like them just as much. They have not changed in our mind as a player. It's just there's a lot of guys we see and a lot of guys that are making huge jumps, and it's a huge shout out to those guys. And There's going to be newcomers in the mix. There's going to be risers. There's going to be all sorts of stuff. So a lot of guys to dig through, sift through, and then a lot of guys to see this spring. So should be an awesome spring. I know our work is going to be cut out for us, given how many follows that came out of this winter. And it's a credit to all the players out there, parents getting these players to events, letting us get our eyes on them, and seeing, all the hard work they put in the off season.